What's up, y'all? It's Marco. I'm back, and today we'll be doing something a little bit different. I'm gonna be telling you guys what your Acura says about you, or the Acura that you plan on getting says about you. In the background, I got some POV of me driving from a car meet. But in general, this is going to be my experiences, more or less. I'm going to try to touch on not all. I'm not going to be able to touch on all the models, but I'm going to touch on most of the current lineup and, of course, the popular models. So, but they'll all be my experiences, more or less, from what I see and what I've heard from others in terms of basically what it says about you and the kind of people that own that particular Acura model. So, starting with the flagship model, the MDX. The MDX is, of course, the family car, and it's let's say the family SUV. In my experience, most of the people who own this, if you have an MDX, you have a family, you are taking the kids to school, you're doing grocery runs in it, you're going to Costco, you're going to soccer games, whatever sports your kid plays. You're just doing a lot of daily family stuff with it. And most of the demographic is almost always a middle-aged couple with a kid or two kids. And that's pretty much what I see. For the RDX, it's pretty much the same as the MDX. You're doing pretty much the same stuff, but on a smaller scale. Has less space in the MDX. You maybe got one kid, a dog, probably no more than two kids, but it's pretty much the same as the MDX. It was cheaper, pretty much. That's it. Still same demographic that I see driving it. They'll have the RDX Tech, A-Spec Advance. They'll pretty much drive them all. Now, if you own an Integra, and this goes for you ILX owners too, because it's all one and the same, more or less. If you own an Integra or ILX, the general consensus is you wanted a Civic, but with a little bit more flair, if you will. And you're probably a college student or a young adult looking for a nice, reliable, and affordable premium car. So you landed on the Integra, and you landed on the ILX because the Civic just wasn't premium enough for you. It didn't have enough luxury for you. So that's why you're in an Integra and an ILX. I'm just realizing in post that I missed the TLX, but honestly, there's nothing really much to really say about that. It's either you're a young person driving it, or you're an old person that just wanted something comfortable and reliable. So for the older Acuras, if you encounter a TL, TSX, RL, one of those older Acuras, there's usually only two types that you will come across. You will come across either the one that was driven by an older person, and it's in a very decent condition for the most part, or you'll see one that's driven by a younger person who did some things to it, and either it's clapped out or it's tastefully and highly modified. In my experience, I only see maybe a handful or so the TLs or TSXs, for that matter, that are nicely modified, but in general, a lot of them tend to be clapped out and are on their fifth or sixth owner. Going further back to what I would like to call the classic Acuras, if you own an Acura Legend, you own the RSX or the older Integra, the older CL, usually those are in good condition. Most of those owners are people who feel like the newer Acuras just don't do it for them. They don't have the same essence as the older ones do. So they hold on to their old classic Acura Legend or their Acura RSX. They hold on to those and they keep them real clean. The ones I've came across have been really clean cars, and they take care of them. And it's hard to find them for a low price on Facebook Marketplace, and if you do find them at all, because they hardly ever come up for sale. Now this category gets its own, and this is if you're a Type S owner. It varies model to model. For MDX Type S owners, they're usually a family that used to own German, didn't have a great experience, so they dialed it back. They wanted something reliable but still reasonably quick and nice looking, so they picked up an MDX Type S. If you have a TLX Type S, you are either an older person who wanted something reliable but was still reasonably quick, or you're like me, who was a younger person who wanted to get something quick for about 50 grand, and the TLX Type S was right there, and it was pretty much everything. It looks good. You know, it's just hard to not talk about this car because I own one, so it's hard not to talk about it more than anything else. But pretty much, if you have a TLX Type S, you're either an older person who wanted something that looks good, or you're around my age, you're a young adult who wanted a nice, quick, reliable daily driver. If you have an Integra Type S, you like to row your own boat, baby. You like to row your own boat. And the Integra Type S just captured everything for you. It was manual, it had enough space, and above all else, you couldn't get the Civic Type R at MSRP, so you settled for an Integra Type S, and that's why you have one. Last but certainly not least, my NSX owners. If you're lucky enough to own a first-gen or second-gen NSX for that matter, one thing people should know about you is that you are an Acura enthusiast, especially the first-gen NSX owners. You guys deem the NSX to be Acura's de facto halo car. My second-gen owners, they're either one of two people. You're a diehard Acura enthusiast, and the NSX was always in game for you, and your finances were well off enough to buy one. Or you vaguely know of Acura and wanted a reliable supercar that didn't have a lot of hype behind it. Thus, you have an NSX. And that pretty much wraps up this video. I know I missed a few Acuras, but nonetheless, I covered the main and popular models for the most part. So let me know, what Acura do you own, and was I spot on in my description of your Acura? And make sure to check out my Instagram in the description below for the latest with me and my Type S, Marco